Hey crafters, I've been without internet for the last week and a half, so I'm glad to finally be back online to share today's project, a crochet pumpkin. Now I've crocheted pumpkins in the past, and there's two main ways to make them. The first option is to crochet a rectangle with some texture, sew the top end and sew the bottom end, and call it a pumpkin. The other option is similar, but to add the texture, you tie pieces of yarn tightly around the stuffed project to give the pumpkin its shape. But with both of these methods, the way you sew your pumpkin can change the finished look a good bit, and that step can sometimes be tricky. So I wanted to design a pumpkin pattern that naturally had the pumpkin ridges, and I came up with two designs. Today I'm sharing the first pattern, and in an upcoming video I'll share the second pattern. I wasn't able to add as defined ridges as I'd hoped, but I still think both of these pumpkin styles turned out pretty cute. And since you clicked on this video, you probably are interested in how to make them too, so let's learn how to crochet this first pumpkin. So the yarn I'm using is this Katarina yarn from Hobby Lobby that's since been discontinued, but if you want to find a comparable yarn, this yarn is a weight 3. For my hook, I'm using a 3.75mm hook, and I'll pop up on screen with about how many yards this took me. I don't have that measurement right off the top of my head while I'm filming now. And this yarn size and hook combo will make kind of a small pumpkin, but if you want to make a larger pumpkin, you can go up to a bulkier yarn and use a larger hook. I'd also recommend having a stitch marker handy because we're going to work in the round and I'm going to spiral this project. So let's start by making a slip knot and putting it onto our hook. And you can start this with the magic ring, or like me, you can just start with a chain 1, 2, 3 and go back to that first stitch and slip stitch to join the round. However you want to start is fine. But for round 1, we're going to chain 1 and then work 6 single crochet into the ring. So that's my chain. I like to wrap this tail around so I can work around it. And I'm going to work my first single crochet and then pop the stitch marker right in the top. And now I need to work 5 more in the ring. So this is 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to spiral, so I'm not going to do a slip stitch to join, but for round 2, I'm going to work 2 single crochet in every space. So where I've got my stitch marker, I'll move that out of the way for the moment. But in that spot, I'm going to work 2 single crochet. So this is 1, and this is 2. And don't forget to replace your stitch marker in the first stitch of the round. And then in the 5 remaining stitches, I'm going to work 2 single crochet in each of them as well. So 1 and 2 in the next stitch, 2 single crochet in the following stitch. So 1, 2. I'm going to go all the way around until I've worked 12 single crochet for this round. Now for round 3, we're going to have a repeating pattern. In the first stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet increase, so that's where I work 2 single crochet into the same stitch. So this is 1, and this is 2. And again, replace that stitch marker, and then just 1 double crochet in the following stitch. And then I'll repeat that around. Work 2 single crochet in a stitch, and then just 1. So this is 1, and 2 in the same stitch, and then just 1 in the following stitch. And I'll repeat this all the way around until I've worked 18 single crochet for round 3, and then it'll be time for round 4. Round 4 is another repeating pattern. It's very similar to round 3. So in my first stitch, I'm going to work 2 single crochet into that same spot. So work 1 and 2 in the same stitch. And then in each of the next 2 stitches, work just 1 single crochet. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in the stitch right after it. And then repeat. So 2 single crochet in the next stitch, so 1 and 2 in the same spot there. And then in each of the next 2 stitches, work just 1 single crochet. So that's my first and then this is my second, each worked in their own spot. And I'll repeat this pattern around until I have 24 stitches for round 4. Round 5 is going to be very similar to what we've been doing. In the first stitch, I'm going to work 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So this is 1, and this is 2, both worked in that same stitch. Then in each of the next 3 stitches, I'm going to work just 1 single crochet. This is my first single crochet, second single crochet, and third single crochet, each worked in their very own stitch. And then we just keep repeating the pattern. So in the next stitch, work 2 single crochet. So 1 and 2 in the same spot, that's that single crochet increase. Then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, this is 2, this is 3, and I'll keep repeating this all the way around to finish up round 5, and I'll end up with a total of 30 single crochet stitches. Now round 6 is where we start to shake things up a little bit more. So the repeating pattern this time is in the first 2 stitches we're going to work single crochet increases, and then just 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. In my first stitch, I'm going to work 2 single crochet, so it's a single crochet increase, so that's 1, this is 2 in the same spot. Then in the next stitch, I'm also going to work a single crochet increase, so that's 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet, both in the same spot. Then in each of the next 3 stitches, I'm going to work just 1 single crochet, so that's 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Then repeat the pattern, so work a single crochet increase, so 1, 2 stitches in the same spot, work a second single crochet increase, so 1, 2, single crochet in the same spot, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So that was 1, this is 2, and this is 3, each worked in their own spot. And I'm going to repeat this process around, and at the end of round 6, I'll have a total of 42 single crochet stitches. Round 7 is going to have a repeating pattern, but again, it's going to be a little bit different than what we've been doing so far. So the repeating pattern is we're going to start with a single crochet. So just 1 single crochet worked like normal in the first stitch. Then after that 1 single crochet by itself, I'm going to do 2 single crochet increases. So in the next stitch, I'm going to work 2 single crochet, so 1 and 2 into the following stitch, and then a second single crochet increase. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet in the same spot. Then to finish up the pattern, I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4 right here. That's the pattern, and then we repeat. So the pattern starts with just 1 single crochet by itself, so 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochet increases. So single crochet increase, so that's 1 and 2 single crochet in the same spot. Then my second single crochet increase, so 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet in the same stitch. And then 4 single crochet, just worked 1 in each stitch. So this is 1 in its own spot, this is our second one in its own spot, third one in its own stitch, and fourth one in its own stitch, and then repeat around. So another way to think of this pattern is in between those 2 single crochet increases, we have 5 single crochet just worked evenly, worked like normal, where we're working just 1 in each spot. But because at the start of the round we don't start with those increases, that's why the pattern is 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet increases, and then 4 single crochet. I'm going to repeat this all the way around, and at the end of round 7 I will have 54 single crochet stitches. So at this point you can start to see these little ridges forming, and that'll help create the shape of the pumpkin. So we've just got one more round to create the shape, and that's round 8. And again, it's another repeating pattern, but this time we're also going to throw in some decreases. So to start, we're going to work 2 single crochet, just 1 in each spot. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and 1 single crochet in the second stitch. Then I'm going to work a single crochet increase in each of the next 2 stitches. So this is my first single crochet increase, so 1 and 2 stitches in the same spot. Then my second single crochet increase where I'm working 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet into the same stitch. Then we follow it up with 2 more single crochet. These are each just worked in their own stitch. So that's single crochet number 1, this is single crochet number 2, each in their own stitch. And lastly, to finish off the repeating pattern, we're going to single crochet 3 together. I kind of randomly decided to do the invisible single crochet decrease, but whether you go with the invisible single crochet decrease or not, when we single crochet these 3 together, we want to make sure that we insert in 3 stitches and end up with just 1 stitch on the top. So to work the invisible decrease, I'm going to go under just the front loop of my first stitch, then go under just the front loop of my second stitch, and because I'm working 3 together, I need to also go under just the first loop of my third stitch. And each time when I'm going under these loops, I'm coming from front to back, so working in that direction as I insert up and underneath those loops. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull that loop through all 3 of those stitches. And then to finish it off, I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. And that's how you work an invisible decrease when you're single crocheting 3 stitches together. And then we repeat the pattern again. So in my next 2 stitches, I'm working a single crochet. And really important, we already went in that stitch there, so make sure you don't work in that one again, but come to the next stitch, work a single crochet, work a single crochet in the following stitch. Then we're going to work a single crochet increase, so that's 2 single crochet in the same stitch. That was 1, this is my second single crochet. Then in the following stitch, another single crochet increase, so once more, work 2 single crochet into that spot. Then work 1 single crochet in each of my next 2 stitches, so this is my first one, this is my second one, and then we're going to work 3 stitches together, and I'm going to use that invisible decrease. So I'm going under the front loop of my first stitch, right there. Then I'm going to go from bottom up under the front loop of my next stitch, right up through there, and from the bottom up under the front loop of my third stitch. Then yarn over and pull that loop through all those 3 stitches, yarn over and pull through 2 to finish the stitch. And then I'm going to keep repeating this around, and at the end of round 8, I will have a total of 54 stitches. So after finishing round 8, you can see we've really created those ridges, and that's going to help form the shape of our pumpkin. But now for round 9, it's going to be a nice break from the increases and decreases. We're just going to work 54 single crochet evenly around. And again, keep track with your first stitch, so that way you know where each row starts and ends. But I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in the top of each stitch from the previous round, and I'll end up with a total of 54 single crochet stitches. And then once I get done with round 9, I'm going to repeat round 9 all the way through round 18. So rounds 9 through 18, I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, and I'll have a total of 54 stitches each round. So let me work rounds 9 through 18, and then I'll show you how we finish off the top of the pumpkin. So I finished round 18, and here is what the pumpkin is looking like so far. You can kind of see that I've got a little bit of ridges created along the bottom. And of course, once we stuff it out, I kind of fill things in a little bit more too, but it does give it a little bit more of that pumpkin shape. Now, as a quick note, if you're new to crochet and maybe you started working on rounds 9 through 18 and then lost track of where you were, a really simple way to make sure you've worked through round 18 at this point is to go to the right of your stitch marker a little bit, go back down to the center, and from the center we're going to count outwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I just kind of kept working around and around, moved my stitch marker each time, didn't really count, and then once I had gone up a little ways, that's how I counted to make sure I was at round 18. So just wanted to share that little trick if you're new to working in the round. Another thing I want to mention is you can make your pumpkin taller than this by continuing to work 54 stitches evenly around, or you can make your pumpkin shorter than mine by repeating row 9 less times. But either way, once you get to the height you want, for me, I decided to work through round 18. It's time to start decreasing and closing in the top. So round 19, it's again a repeating pattern. We're going to start by working 2 single crochets, and these are just going to be worked evenly, so 1 in each stitch. So this is 1, and this is 2. Then I'm going to work an invisible decrease to join 2 stitches together. So the invisible part means we're inserting under just that front loop of the stitch. So I'm decreasing from 2 stitches to 1. I'm going to also go under the front loop of the following stitch. So I've gone under that front loop of 2 stitches, yarn over, pull that loop through those stitches, and then yarn over and pull through 2 to finish that decrease. So that's my first decrease. I'm going to do a second decrease, and I'm joining 2 together. So again, go under that front stitch, under that front loop of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull up a loop through both of those stitches, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Then in my next 3 stitches, I'm going to work 1 single crochet. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. And from here, I'm going to repeat that around. So work 2 single crochet. So this is 1, and this is 2. Then I'm going to work 2 single crochet decreases. And each time I'm decreasing 2 stitches into 1. So I'm going to go under 1, and then 2 stitches, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my first decrease. Then in my next 2 stitches, work another decrease. So insert underneath that front loop, insert underneath the front loop of the following stitch, yarn over and pull through those 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my second decrease, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to repeat. So basically we're working 5 single crochet between those 2 single crochet decreases, but because of where the round starts, we have to work 2 single crochet before we get to those first decreases. But I will repeat this around and I'll end up with a total of 42 stitches. Now for round 20, our repeating pattern is going to be, we start with a single crochet in our first spot. It's just a nice normal single crochet. Then we're going to do 2 decreases. So we're decreasing 2 stitches into 1, and again, I'm using that invisible decrease where I go under the front loops of the 2 stitches I'm joining together and decreasing, yarn over and pull that loop through those stitches, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my first decrease. And then my second decrease, again, I'm decreasing across 2 stitches this time. So pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm not working super tightly just because I'm on camera and I'm trying to keep things clear and not get my fingers in the way. But you do want to work everything tightly because we are going to stuff this and you don't want the stuffing to show through. Okay, so those are our 2 decreases. And then I'm going to work 2 single crochet, 1 in each of the following stitches. So this is 1, and this is 2. And that's the pattern I'm going to repeat around. So work 1 single crochet, then decrease the next 2 stitches together, and I'm using that invisible decrease. Decrease the next 2 stitches together, so we're doing 2 decreases, one right after another, each time decreasing 2 stitches into 1, and then work 2 single crochet, 1 in each of the following stitches. So 1 and 2, and at the end of this round you will have 30 stitches. Alright, so I just finished round 20, and I don't know why, but that one really made me work for that round. I had to unravel it twice and to attempt it 3 times because I messed up on my count just slightly. But anyways, you want to make sure you get the counts correct and you end up with 30 stitches at the end of round 20. But anyways, just thought I'd share that, so if you're getting stuck, it's okay. Just keep at it, you'll get the hang of it, and even people who design patterns sometimes mess up their own designs. Alright, so moving on to round 21. Again, a repeating pattern, which is very nice. We're going to start with 1 single crochet. This is my first single crochet. And then I'm going to do the invisible decrease to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So go under 1, go under 2, yarn over, pull up through those stitches, yarn over, pull through 2, and that completes the decrease. Then in each of the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a single crochet. So right here, a single crochet, and right here. And then repeat. So work a single crochet in the next stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, so that's that invisible decrease across the next 2 stitches. And then 1 single crochet in each of the following 2 stitches. So this is 1, this is 2. And I'll repeat this all the way around, and at the end of round 21, I will have 24 stitches. Now for round 22, it's going to be very similar to the previous round. We're going to start with one single crochet, and then a single crochet decrease, and I'm using that invisible decrease, and we're decreasing 2 stitches into one, and then single crochet. And that's the pattern I'm going to repeat all the way around. So single crochet, invisible decrease across 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and then just a plain normal single crochet in the following stitch. I'll repeat that a total of 6 times, and I'll end up with 18 stitches at the end of round 22, and then we will pause to stuff the pumpkin. So I finished round 22, and now I'm going to stuff the pumpkin. I like to pull my loop really big so I don't accidentally unravel it while I'm stuffing. I'm just using some polyfill, and honestly I don't really care for polyfill because I feel like it always ends up lumpy, but I didn't have enough yarn scraps and I didn't want to use a plastic bag. And just stuff your pumpkin to your desired level of stuffness. I don't quite know what the word is. Basically, if you overstuff it, it'll kind of stretch out the details, but if you understuff it, then it's just kind of sad and saggy. So stuff until you like the way that it looks. Basically, I'm really trying to stuff each of the corners, kind of the little like nubs and points, so that we get the good pumpkin shape. I think that ought to do it. So now on to round 23, and this is going to be the last round in our pumpkin body color before we swap over to a stem color. You of course can use the same color for the pumpkin body and the stem, but if you're going to swap, I'll show you how we do that at the end of the round. But first, let's work round 23. The repeating pattern is going to be one single crochet, and then a decrease, so join the next 2 stitches together with a single crochet. Again, I'm using the invisible decrease. And then I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Work a single crochet, and then decrease the next 2 stitches together with a single crochet decrease. So I'm doing that invisible decrease going under just the front loop of the next 2 stitches, if I can get my hook under there. Sometimes once it's stuffed, it just kind of puts a little extra tension on the project. There we go. And work that decrease. Single crochet. Then decrease the next 2 stitches together. I'm going to repeat this all the way around, and once I'm done, I will have a total of 12 stitches. Alright, so all I have left for round 23 is this final decrease. Let me show you how I'm going to work the decrease and also change color all in the same stitch. So I'm going to start off like normal, where I insert underneath the front loops of the next 2 stitches, then yarn over and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to stop here. Next, I want to get out whatever color yarn I'm using for my stem. If you're using a variegated yarn, you could always use another shade within the variegation, but what I'm going to do is I have this nice tan colored yarn here, and I'm going to use this. However, this is a lighter weight yarn than the stuff I'm using for the pumpkin, so what I'm doing is I am tightly chaining along this yarn to make it about the same thickness as the yarn I've been using for the rest of the pumpkin, and also the chain's going to give it a little extra texture. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to play around with, but of course you can just find another weight through yarn that matches really well with the yarn you're using. So to swap from the orange pumpkin yarn to this yarn that I've chained to make thicker, the way I like to do this is in my new yarn, I like to create a slip knot, and then I'm going to put that slip knot on my hook and size it down to the size of the hook. I'm going to keep a little bit of tension on these so that way it's not a loose finish to my stitch, but I'm going to pull this new loop through both loops on my hook. So pull it through the first one and through the second one. And what that does is it finishes the decrease stitch while also changing color. And then because I'm extra like this, I like to cut off my old color and leave a bit of a tail. And then I take the tail of my old color or my new color and I tie them together a couple of times just so we get a really nice secure join. And also put some tension on this stitch so that way it can't loosen up. So I'm just going to knot that a couple times and then tuck those tails inside the pumpkin. But at this point we're ready to start working in our new color. And the basic idea here is we're going to work 12 single crochet stitches around. However, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use what's called a long single crochet, and that's going to give a little extra texture. And you know how the tops of pumpkins, the stems kind of have little fingers that kind of stick out? It's going to create an effect like that. I'll show you what I mean. But the basic idea for round 24 is I'm working 12 single crochet around. I'm just going to change up where I actually insert my hook for each stitch. So for my first stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet in the top of a stitch, just like normal. Then for my next stitch, instead of working in the top of this stitch, I'm going to go down a couple rows. So I'll go down, instead of working the top, go down to the row below it and insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop up to the height of my first single crochet, and then finish off by yarning over and pulling through 2. And see how that makes kind of a longer little jag right there? That's going to create that kind of pumpkin stem look I was talking about. Then for my next single crochet, I'll work in the top of the following stitch. Just a normal single crochet. But then for my next one, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 rows and insert my hook way down there. Yarn over, pull up my loop, and pull it to the height, the same as these other stitches, because we don't want it to be too tight and just squish the work. So give it a little bit of slack, of course not too much slack, but pull it up to about that height, and then yarn over and pull through 2 to finish off that stitch. For the next one, instead of working in the top, let's go down 3 spaces. Again, these are all single crochet. I'm just changing where I'm working, and when I work way down low, I'm trying to give enough slack so I can get the top of the stitch to line up with the top of my normal single crochets. Then for my next one, we'll just work in the top of the stitch, just a normal single crochet. Then for the following stitch, I'll go down just 1 row. So I'm just kind of changing where I put those stitches, but we want to make sure that we end up with 12 stitches and place them evenly along. And of course, if you don't like this look or it gives you problems, you don't have to do this. You can just work your 12 single crochet like normal. So at this point, I've worked 8 single crochet. I've got 4 more to go. And again, I'm just going to kind of arbitrarily work either in the top of the stitch or a row down or 2 rows down, 3 rows down. Just kind of staggering it along to create that pumpkin stem effect. So stitch number 9. This is stitch number 10. And also watch out for those tails that we tucked inside the pumpkin. Stitch number 10. Stitch number 11. And we'll do a long one for stitch number 12. Again, these are all single crochet. The only thing that's changing is where I'm inserting the base of the stitch. But I think it's just kind of fun, gives it that pumpkin stem kind of look. And that finishes up round 24. So now rounds 25, 26, and 27, we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch. So each round is going to have 12 single crochet. And we're always going to work these in the tops of stitches. So go to the next stitch, work a good old normal single crochet. A single crochet in the following stitch, so that's number 2. This is stitch number 3. And I'm going to work 12 stitches around for round 25, and then repeat that for rounds 26 and 27, and then I'll show you how we finish it off. So at this point I have worked round 25. Now I said worked rounds 25 through 27 the exact same way. However, because I'm using a different yarn that I chained along, it's a little bit thicker than the yarn I was using for the body of the pumpkin, so it's getting taller faster than it would if you were sticking with the same exact weight yarn. And I find that when my pumpkin stems get too tall, they just end up looking a little awkward. So I'm going to stop it here, but if you're using a yarn that's the same exact weight, same kind of yarn as the body of your pumpkin, then you probably will want to repeat round 25 2 more times for rounds 26 and 27 to get a little bit taller pumpkin stem. And of course you can repeat it as many times as you want to make it super tall, or like I'm going to do in the video, repeat it just once and have it shorter. So the next round I'm working is technically round 26 for me, but if you were actually following the pattern the way I made the first pumpkin, this would be round 28 that I'm going to show next, and it's the final round of the pumpkin. Now really quick before I show you how to work that, we need to add a last little bit of stuffing into the stem of the pumpkin, right in here. Like so, and now we're ready to work round 28, which I'm working right after round 25 just because my yarn's thicker and made my stem taller faster than I was expecting. So to work this round, we're going to work 6 single crochet decreases. And when I work these single crochet decreases, I'm going to work in just the back loop. I'm going to work kind of the same way as the invisible, but we're going to work in just the back loop so we create kind of a nice edge along the top of our pumpkin stem. So I'm going to insert from front to back underneath the back loop of the first stitch, go to my next stitch, and insert from front to back underneath that back loop. So I've got those on there. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through those 2 stitches, and then yarn over, pull through 2 to finish that decrease. So that's my first one. I've got 5 more of these to go. So insert in the back loop of the next stitch and under the back loop of the following stitch. And this might feel a little goofy, but if you practice, you'll get the hang of it. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull that loop through both of those stitches, and then yarn over and pull through 2. That's my second decrease. 4 more to go. Alright, so this is my 6th decrease, going under the back loop and under the next back loop. Yarning over and pulling that through both those stitches I just inserted my hook under, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And at this point, I'm going to pull up a loop and fasten off, but leave a nice long tail so we can sew the top closed. So I've got myself a nice long yarn tail. I undid the chain along the rest of this. So now I need to sew this top together, so I'm just going to thread my yarn onto my needle. And I'm going to whip stitch, and I'm going to go through the tops of the stitches to whip stitch. So I go down through there, from outside to inward, pull it tight, go to my next stitch from outward inward, pull it tight, next stitch from outward to inward, cinch it nice and tight, and keep working this all the way around. So right now it looks a little something like this, but basically the goal is we want to try to push that top down flat, so that way that round where we did the single crochet is just in the back loop, so that way it kind of creates that little ridge along there. And I'm just going to kind of go over this to tack that down a little bit better, and then tie it off on the side here. And then after I knotted it off, I just like to run the tail through the pumpkin stem and then trim it on the other side. And now our pumpkin is complete. As a quick note, your stem should turn out a lot neater with that close I showed if you're working with just a single strand of normal yarn versus that chained yarn that I was using. But this creates a pumpkin that kind of naturally has those ridges and has that cute pumpkin shape. And of course you can kind of fluff it and play around with it to get it stuffed exactly the way you want. But that's the pumpkin. So here's another look at the finished project. It has those subtle nubs all along the sides that give it that pumpkin or gourd kind of shape. Another note is how much or little you stuff it can change how defined or subtle the ridges are, so be sure to play around with the stuffing to get the look you want. And as I mentioned at the start, this is the first pumpkin design I came up with. There'll be a second pattern in an upcoming video, so be sure to subscribe and come back for the next pattern. In the meantime, I hope you'll have fun creating this project. Happy crafting!